No, Chiefs. San Francisco. I was a 49ers fan.
Oh, were you?
I'm a Bucks fan, actually.
Lieutenant, how are you?
Yeah.
Nice man. Chiefs, 49.
Bucks.
It is 7:32, Tuesday, February 6, 2024. We now call to order the Historic Town of Eatonville Regular Council meeting. Mrs. King, would you please do a roll call?
Yes, Councilwoman Randolph.
It is 7:32, Tuesday, February 6, 2024. We now call to order the Historic Town of Eatonville.
Councilwoman Randolph. Here. Councilman Daniels,
Present.
Vice Mayor Daniels. Mayor Gardner
Here.
and Councilman Washington is not here tonight.
All right, we have a quorum. Please stand for invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Is it still making noise? Yes.
Here. And. All right, we have a quorum. Please stand for invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Can you cut the one on the bottom off? You may have to cut it completely off, but we'll see. Yes.
Let us pray. Father and God, we thank you once again for the opportunity that you give to us to live, move, and have our being. We thank you for this day again that you have made. We will continue even now to rejoice and be glad in it. We thank you for this opportunity now, God, to come to this town council meeting where we can be updated and upstated on the state and the welfare of this community. We want to continue to lift up
Chief,
Good evening, council.
good evening.
Stanley Murray, Chief of Police, Eatonville. Glad to be here tonight, excited at such of tremendous change that is coming from our police department in such a short period of time. I think we're rounding 103 days now. I feel welcome here, feel a part of the town. The connections with those who are just really just doing a lot. There's a lot of history here, but just a lot of love here, to be honest. Just want to give just an update of what we've been doing since I've come in, since October 23rd, with just a basic report of the last 100 days. We'll talk about a department reconstruction, manpower, crime stats, and projected goals. So in the department, I recognize some key things that we needed to look at. Our patrol section, an investigative section, those are usually you always have in most of the police departments. But I really want to focus on our community relations section, being that that's my bread and butter, that I believe is paramount for long-term relations with the community. So with that being added, we were able to really start connecting and make sure we're at the events that people are hosting. There's an invite you can give to us. If we can, we'll bring out and do a tabletop of your event. We'll connect with your youth, your young adults, seniors, things of that nature. So that's going to really be a key component of what we're trying to do. I did an update of department vehicles and equipment. There is a lot that needs to be updated. There's a lot that needs to be changed, not just for the safety of officers, but the safety of the community as well. When you're confident in what you have, you're confident in doing your job properly. And with that being said, we are understanding there's some changes to be made. If you ever notice, we got 2 new vehicles that are going around. They were black in color, new design. The town logo is on the quarter panels of those vehicles. And 3 new words have come up: professionalism, integrity, and honesty. So the goal is for us to make sure that we are following those standards. We're proud to announce we have some new officers. Reserve, we have now Corporal Kennedy, who was re-signed to come back with us after a long period of time of being here. So I'm happy to get him back. Reserve is now Eric DeBose. He's in our investigative section. He's a retiree from the sheriff's office. Vast amount of experience in investigations and along those lines. And Officer Wu, who is now in training, and he's excited to be here. He's also speaks 5 languages. So we're excited to have those kind of people. And then we even got out of retirement, Lance Taylor of the group, Sergeant now, Lamar Payne, has come back home. So we're excited. We have currently 5 vacancies. However, we have about 9 applicants. So we're moving and shaking, and if things work the way things are planning out, we'll probably be full by Easter. So I'm excited about that opportunity. We also have a detective, Arthur Wilson, who couldn't make it tonight, but he's also a part of our reserve status. So we're looking at revamping our field training program, giving the opportunity for them to really get the understanding, their report writing, make sure they're accurately putting the reports in the proper manner, so there's not getting kickback from the state attorney's office. Not that they were doing that on a regular basis, but I just wanted to really hone in on the report writing skills. I want every officer to not just be a patrol officer, but an investigator and a community relations person. I don't like putting people to work with people that don't like people. So if we can't figure out that, then there's a problem somewhere. And that doesn't mean it doesn't wind up in an arrest or a ticket or things of that nature. But it does mean we can treat people like human beings. And that's the main goal why we're doing that. Connecting with those communities like the chamber and I met with the seniors, visiting and just conversing where I can with those groups, Boys and Girls Club, et cetera, et cetera. We have an implementation of an off-duty program now that with a lot of this road construction and things of that nature, it is very hard to put on-duty officers to do that kind of stuff. So I've spoken with Ms. Mundy. We've created an application that I'm sending out that those companies would have to come and pay for officers to sit to help the traffic widening and all of that, rather than trying to do on duty where it costs the town money. So that's going to be alleviated here with that. I had the Orange County Sheriff's Office that came by today, scheduled a audit of the records department. Next month, they'll be coming in to do a evidence audit. And most of that is just to get us up to speed. We'll be taking over the building at 20 Peoples. That will become our new records and audits section so we can get some space. I'm not very good with clutter. I start scratching. So I want to make sure that we have a clean environment for our people to come and work in and feel comfortable in. I want to do some things in the building to give them some, when they have downtime, they can relax and they can be able to do their job effectively. We're also reviewing the policies and procedures that we have there. I would tend to say that there is a need to review them all. So we are in the midst of doing that as we speak. Like I said, we're currently now with 12 officers, including me. My understanding from Mr. Presley, I ask him every month the same question. How many officers am I slotted for? He gives me the same number every month, budget-wise. However, I'm hoping if I ask him, he might not forget, and I can slip 2 more in. But he's a man of great integrity, so he keeps reminding me I only have 16 spots at this moment. But with that being said, just knowing we have a plethora of guys in reserve, ladies in reserve who are just coming in, it's just been, if I could use the word, a blessing to see how many people are coming in and interviewing and wanting to be a part of this great town that we have here. So we did lose an officer that retired, but we also have, like I said, a plethora of those in reserve. Crime stats, I am proud to announce. You may have a packet that I gave you all. If you notice since 2022, the decrease in crime around the October, November, December section, I'm using that because that's when I came. But we've almost cut in half our crime since October of this year and year to date. So our guys are out, they're busy, they're involved, they're engaged. We'll continue to still work where we can. There's always work to do. There's always places we still have to be at. We're adamant about our businesses closing, an officer being in the area when they close. We're adamant about trying to still continue great relations with Catalina Park. We do go down there as periodically as we can. The goal that I've really been focusing on is by getting new people in, I can assess the issue we had with vacation. Too much vacation, too much overtime. The only way out of that is more manpower. And so we're glad to announce that hopefully by the summer, we'll be able to see a lot of that being changed out and getting us where we need to go. Projected goals, like I said, increase in training. We're happy to announce one of our officers just went to what's called critical incident stress management training. She just got certified in that. Officer Diggs, she'll be able to help officers in any related trauma that they might go through, whether it be, even if it was involved at home, but anything officer related, maybe saving a baby, a drowning baby, or officer shooting type incident, but we'll be creating those environments for our officers to be able to get the help that they need with that. We're going to be creating a victim advocate, which is a person that goes out and helps victims who've been through crisis and help them with resources or whatever they might need to get back on their feet. And we're now proud to announce Ms. Tarver will be our young lady for that. So we're glad to have her with that. Community relations, I've met with our seniors. I'm getting ready to be a guest speaker at one of the meetings coming up real soon. Any other events that come up, I continue to get dialogue from the chamber, and I try to make what I can with those as well. We had a great time during the holiday season. I do want to announce we're getting ready for Meet the Chief, February the 19th. I will have 5 resource tables there that will deal with a little bit of everything, some mental health, some education, some literacy type opportunities will be there. And I'm proud to announce we will be raffling off a television. And also we'll be looking at a mini home makeover where a group will come out and volunteer to do something at a senior's home or whoever wins the home for no charge at all. So that's just an opportunity that we're going to be putting to that. We are in need of some vehicles. I was able to get 3 vehicles at a very, very admirable cost, enough that it didn't have to make it back to the council. So that tells me it was under a certain number. We were able to get that done. However, after evaluating, we do need at least another 2 or 3 coming up in the future that we're going to have to just surplus out. They just they've got all you can get out of them. We'll just keep putting Band-Aids over gunshot wounds and we keep taking it back to the shop. They've done what they could do, but we're gonna evaluate as we come to see what those are. But there are some opportunities that I can find some very, very nice vehicles at a very, very low cost. We were able to do, we're working on our part of the impact study, and what we found out is it costs a little around $23,000 to outfit one officer to get them prepared to be able to come out and go to work on a full-time basis. And you include everything it takes to hire them and equip them to be able to do their job adequately. It's not a cheap thing, but at the end of the day, as I've always told people, we may not get paid. People think we get paid for what we do. We get paid for what we can do. And what we can do is help keep order, help keep relations with the community, and help keep down the opportunity for crime. And that's one of our main focuses that we will be focusing on. We are looking to, with the grant that we have coming up, the $1 Million Community Policing Grant, we're looking to implement some new laptops, some things of that nature that we can help Catalina Park. We're looking at the structure there. Ms. Mundy and I are working diligently. I even had the Fish and Game come out today to make sure we don't have any type of endangered species, which was part of the grant, to make sure that we were not going to be building anything that could cause a distraction to that. So we're in a good place with that as well. So we'll start talking about when renovations and all that will come into play in the direction of Mr. Presley. I do just want to add up that I am very excited about the people that I have working for me. I have a great staff, great assistant right now that's working tirelessly to do what she can to help us, but also just the people we have in the room are just excited about the change. And I'm just welcome to be a leader in the plan with them. Any questions you might have? Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. The report here for the calls for service, this number 23 in the packet. Is there any way that these calls can be assist of categories? Are these non-emergency and emergency calls altogether?
Yes, ma'am. We call it for that particular
Okay,
month.
is there any way that you can have a column so we can see what type of crimes and calls that we're getting?
Yes,
You know, whether or not they're domestic or petty or whatever the case may be.
right.
Is there a way that you can?
That can
have
be
this
done.
broken down?
That can be done. We're just right in the middle of this impact thing, and
Yes.
that's part of it.
Okay.
So that's a lot of data we're trying to pull together in a timely manner to get it in this thing. So that's why we just gave you a basic general
Yeah.
tonight of what's going on, but yes, ma'am, that can be done.
Yeah, all right, thank you.
In your I'm sorry,
You go ahead.
in your assessment of traffic speeding, how are we? I saw you out there looking and assessing the situation.
It's gonna be a constant thing. I periodically get out myself and just do what I can to help slow it down. I will say this, and I could be wrong, but just the majority of those people driving through do not appear to be residents. They just appear to be honed in on where they're trying to get to. Whether it's Maitland or going back to Forest City Road, and you can tell by those times of day that they're trying to get where they're getting. So we are, we've got all of our radar guns, we got to get recalibrated, and we're gonna probably be a little busy coming up here into the spring. So for those who do live here, pre-warning that Kennedy Boulevard is a safe road if you drive it in a safe way. If not, then we will stop and give you some kind of counsel in whatever format that winds up to be. Yes, sir.
So Chief, I know you've been talking to Mr. Presley. If you had your desire, how many more officers would you need?
I would like 20 full-time.
20 full-time?
I would like 20 full-time. When you go to adding what it takes to have 2 officers or 3 officers out at night, if you take away training, if you take away them taking off, if you take away them being sick, then you lose a person on that shift. And the only way to replace that is to either bring somebody up for another shift or someone has to stay later. All that goes back into what we're talking about with overtime and things of that nature.
And that's what I'm getting at, because I know how much that overtime number was looking. We probably could have hired last year, another 2 officers from the overtime itself. So that's one question. Other question is, if you had to put a dollar amount on equipment, what would that number be?
Or everything
That's needed right now to get everybody up to snuff on having everything that's needed. It could just be a roundabout. I'm just trying to figure something.
probably about 200 grand.
And how much would be needed for training?
maybe about 15 to 20.
That's all I have.
I have a question. You mentioned you would need what additional, what did you say? Four more? Four more officers?
On top of
Your
the-
wish list.
Yes, yeah, what we budgeted for plus 4 would be yes, that would give us 20.
So is that to have a 8-hour shift for the officers to avoid the overlap with overtime, or tell me how that's gonna work?
It would be looked at, yes, ma'am. We'd evaluate all of it to see what best suits the town with our people and evaluate how it would go best. But I would have to look at it, all the numbers, and draw it up with my people and see how it works, how it best works. It could be considered, yes.
So would it be, how long would it take for you to come up with that synopsis? Because like I said, public safety is very important. And one incident is too many incidents. So how long would it take for y'all to go through and write up y'all analysis and all that stuff and put it on paper?
I would say probably the middle of March to make sure everything, I don't miss any cracks or crevices, and give me time to lay it out in a timely manner.
We will have our workshops, but keep in mind, per the safety of the community, based off the numbers is what we have to try to keep in mind, and also the budget. So that's the only thing, because you're here. I'd rather get our current officers up to par, salary wise and all that, before we start adding more additional officers.
I understand.
So
That's
just
a
keep that in
question.
mind.
That's a question coming for you too in my notes too, just to let you know.
That would be a great consideration. I will be back in a few months to petition.
I have one more question.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm trying to be very careful as to how I proceed with this question.
Sure.
We have one officer that I learned has been out since maybe November, December.
Mhm.
I don't need to know everything about what's going on with that officer, but understand that there's some investigation that's going on. This is nothing, this is not a secret. This, everybody knows in the community what's going on. It's no different than what goes on in any other places when officers are being kind of highlighted as some issues. When will this investigation be over with or completed? Approximately what time? I'm not asking for any details publicly, because I know when it comes down to these kinds of things, I know basically things are just kind of more or less settled within the department until it's over. I don't need to know what it is. I just need to know when will this investigation.
At this
be
moment
over?
tonight, I don't have a timeline of exactly a day or a time.
Yes,
But when I do, I will make sure that it's sent to Mr. Presley and forwarded to the council in a timely manner. But as of tonight, I don't have an exact day or time.
okay, all right, thank you.
And it is an outside agency that's doing it, so we're at their discretion on when they respond back with the details. But I do know that they have been working with diligence.
All right, thank you.
All right, any other questions? You have something else? That's it? Thank you, Chief.
Mayor, can we do one thing before? I'd like to get
Yeah.
a picture with the officers up front real quick. If we can get
Okay.
a picture real quick. Chief.
And council.
Yes, please.
I think what would be good tonight is if I can get my council name close to the mayor and then have my officers surround my council. And then Councilwoman, you need to go up to the front. That work?
I'm in enough pictures. I'm a behind the scenes guy.
This is missing. He's always behind the scenes. Okay, so. You balance the number, but we're a little heavy on this side. So I'm gonna have you guys take a couple steps back. We'll stay right here for me for a second. I'm gonna figure out what makes more sense.
That's-
Okay.
Ain't work.
All right, so I'm gonna have you step right here, mainly because you guys are in the same code. And then I'm gonna have y'all step out and let you squeeze in right here. Yeah, this is coming in. You put your right shoulder behind her. Just a little bit. All right, so we're gonna do it on three. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. Awesome. And we can get one more, please. And 1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
Again, thank you, Chief. On the next item on the agenda is, citizen participation.
Yes, we have Charlie Wilkerson and Thelma Wilkerson. You can come to the podium. Are the Wilkersons here?
They're here.
Oh, okay. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good afternoon. The mayor, town council. I have a couple statements that I would like to make. Would get to thinking, well, this is the proper time to make it, but being a mayor, I'm going to make it. As you know, we are the property owner on 307 West Canada Boulevard, and we had received a lot of the enclosures for the dumpsters. We were still talking about that. I feel that the town of Eatonville should set an example for the business owners to follow before they want somebody else to do something. The town of Eatonville dumpsters is not enclosed. And before you should ask someone else to enclose something, you should enclose yours first. Yours should have already been enclosed before you sent the letters out. And I would like to know, when are you all intend to enclose your dumpster? The same person that enclosed you all might be eligible too. We can get them to enclose ours. Also, we can get a package deal out for everybody while they're doing it for you all. So I asked the town of Eatonville to stop the project right where it's at and enclose yours first, then come back that up. That's what I has to say.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Do anyone want a response to that?
Let's finish yours, and then I'm going to let Mr. Presley
Okay.
respond. Thank you.
My concern is that any of the information that is for the meetings is on your website, right?
You mean the documents in our
Yeah,
packet?
like for the meeting tonight, I
Yes.
went on and got it off. When they have a presentation and it's someone that's gonna be presenting it, it would be nice to know who they are, and I know they do announce it. But if they're not the person that's gonna announce it, they should know to present themselves as the assistant or the coordinator, the supervisor, or whatever. And for that to be, it gives them more light on what they're saying, because they're just up here to do what someone else has told them to read or to say. Far as the dumpster situation, I know that's not an issue right now. It seems to be, it's on the issue, but it's not an issue. Where we are at is Kennedy and Bethune. That's Kim's place. And I know we talked about that before, and I think Mr. Presley is working on that issue for us, and I appreciate that. But it's a separate situation for other businesses. Everyone doesn't have the same type of lot and the space. So to be individually fair, I think it needs to be looked at on an individual basis. Ms. Kim has 2 days that she does, and she has one of the larger dumpsters, so they do her dump twice a week. She could not use one of the rollouts like they have next door at the crab place. So our situation is not like her situation. So I think I would like to see if that could be some type of understanding that not only for me, even though we're speaking for our place, is other people that will probably say the same thing. So I'm not going to dwell on the dumpster situation, but all of the council people, I think Ms. Randolph and the mayor, I'm not sure about the other gentlemen, and if I'm wrong, please correct me. I don't want to be wrong saying something. With the road situation, I will make an appointment with Mr. Presley to talk with him further. When you look at the road situation, it's going to impact where we are, even though it's going to be maybe another year, give or take. When that happens, we were drilled from the town of Edenville, not saying you, from the town of Edenville, per their protocol, that we had to have gravel parking and we needed to have a space for parking in the front, which that parking does have nothing to do with Edenville. That belongs to the county. The county will be governing that area. So when it comes for the road, it won't be parking, from my listening and not understanding right. So I will get with you that that's not going to be an issue for us anyway, because we can't do anything about that parking. We can only be on the side of the sidewalk that goes up into the building. So everything on this side of the sidewalk belongs to the county even now. We don't control that parking, neither does the crab shop. So we were asked to do a site plan. And I know you can go back into the records and look that up and how it was done. And we did it because we were pressured to do it. But the site plan will show you that when it was drawn up, they put parking that we don't even own on the side of where the county is, because they needed to have a space for the disability. We don't control that side. So I'm just saying, when you look at a situation, that parking was taken away when we did the site plan, because we had to put it in an area that's in the back or on the side of the building where people could use it as a designated disability parking space. So those things are going to be considered when the road comes through, and with the dumpster that's going to be needing to be adjusted for a 12 by 12. And all of that is space. So we have the concerns of Edenville asked us to put with the site plan. It's an issue for us having to do that, and we did it. And now with the dumpsters, that's going to be an issue. So just look at some of our issues, and thank you for getting back with us on that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I want to say just to the first part in regards to what's taking place, the code enforcement department, along with our planning, they're working based off that information we presented last time, and also looking at adjusting the ordinance to have some flexibility or have some options for the different case-by-case scenarios that come with that. Regarding the west widening project, I'll meet with you all along with Valerie, and we'll talk through what's the next steps with that and how that impacts you.
Mhm.
Okay.
And the ordinance that we're talking about, I'm just going to say this. The ordinance that was brought up in the last meeting, it's been a change on that ordinance, right?
So I am gonna ask you,
Okay,
if
so
you
you're
just
gonna
make an
talk of
appointment
that?
with
Yes.
Mr.
Well,
Presley, and he'll have to get back with you, because we have 3 minutes. We need to
Okay,
enforce that, and
but,
then he'll
but
get
you
back
are
with you.
working on the new ordinance that was told
Yes.
to us.
Yes.
We're
Okay,
working on
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
Where is the town of Edenville?
Wait.
The next one will be Charles Barnier.
Oh, Jesus.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Oh, geez. Oh, God.
Charles Barnier, 124 South Calhoun Avenue. Good evening to Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
I don't know if you all are aware, for the last several months, there was a horrible situation with the homeless circumstances on my street. And I talked to Mr. Presley and the chief about the situation, and I just want to thank them for addressing the situation. Thank Chief Murray for his officers patrolling that and making sure that things was basically in order. Thank Mr. Presley for moving and getting that taken care of. Now, I was watching the news, and it looks like all the municipalities around are really addressing the homeless problem in their community. Are we in the process of addressing that this issue in reference to the homeless situation?
We have samples that we've received. Councilwoman Randolph brought it to our attention, and I'm waiting to look at the right one to get to legal, but we are looking at creating one.
All right. My last concern was, we have been talking about this from the last year or so, and being on the planning and zoning board. Where are we with our impact fees? I know we have talked about trying to implement that. Where are we with the implementation of that, the impact fees? Are we going to implement them, or where are we with that?
And I can update more. I'll probably take a little more time to talk, but in my report, I'm definitely give an update, but we are moving on the impact fees.
All right, thank you very
Yes,
much.
Thank you.
And Ryan Novick.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, members
Good
of the
evening.
community. Tonight, I'd like to talk about trash, not from a commercial standpoint, but just from a general standpoint. I'd already planned on speaking on this tonight before I realized that my trash hadn't been picked up. So kind of actually works out for me because my trash didn't get picked up. I don't know who else's also didn't get picked up again. But I was doing a little bit of research, and a program to bring waste management into the town of Eatonville would not be a large stretch. A brand new waste management truck runs about $200,000. What we pay for trash would pay for the truck itself in less than a year. It would be able to create job opportunities for the members of the community or whoever we hire to handle waste management. The dumps would go to the same places as Waste Pro or whomever else takes them for the same fees that are charged. One truck may not be able to handle all of Eatonville, but you could stagger the days, half of Eatonville on Tuesday, the other half on a Wednesday. But ultimately, we do not have to rely on an outside contractor to not do their contract and miss the trash pickup, because we as a community would be responsible for our own waste management at that point, our own recycling, etc. And this then would pay for itself by the fees that we already pay for it. Additionally, if you wanted to then offload that or lease it out to other municipalities to help pick up some of their slack, it then turns into a further revenue opportunity for the town of Eatonville. So self-waste management, job creation, and possible revenue. And then hopefully our trashes don't get missed on days that they're scheduled to be picked up. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was the last one.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Next item is the consent agenda. Move for approval,
So
which is item 2. It's been moved in second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed. Now we're ready for item number, the Eatonville Black History Month motorcycle event.
I think Councilman Daniels pulled it. I don't know if there was something specific.
you want a motion first?
Okay, do we want any?
There's no comments.
Okay,
Yeah,
no
just-
comments. All right. So is there a motion to approve the Eatonville Black History Month motorcycle event?
Second discussion.
It's been moved and seconded, Councilman.
I don't have a problem with it, the event, but the reason I moved it down was to have the discussion. I remember we talked about having other resources, allowing other
organizations that can come out and be imparted into it, and where we stand with that. And then my other issue is, and we constantly are doing this. We're constantly doing this, we're having events, and we know inside of the chamber right now, we're limited. It's only 12 to 15 people that normally show up. So how does the rest of the residents know that there is going to be a Black History Month motorcycle event in historic town of Eatonville? How are we getting that information out to the other residents?
And I'll speak one on that part. It was sent out in the water bills. That was one. Of course, we're using our outlets of media that we have access to, which is our social media and website. And then I don't know if the press release has went, did the press release go out yet? No. So that those are the options that we have accessible to the town at this point.
So when our last water bill.
Yes, it did.
Which was,
January, when was the last one? When the last was 22nd? Yeah, I thought it was right there.
but that's what I'm trying to get at is, just like MLK, just like Zora, people didn't know that those events were going on to those magnitudes. And I think it's an injustice that our people don't know. So I'm totally for the event. I'm just asking how we are going to get the information out. But you can talk about the food issue and all the other kind of stuff we talked about last time.
Okay, for this event, I just want to have a question I want to ask. Are we gonna partner with the local bike group that we already have here in the town? Or is this just an isolated group, or just a group that you're a part of?
Cobbin McGee, Town of Eatonville, Planner One. The biker community has its own communication system. And it's mostly word of mouth. There's a hierarchy of clubs, and I have spoke with the top people and have distributed flyers at various biker events in the area, in addition to the media that the town is putting out through the website, through the mailers and the water bill, through the social media and so forth. I don't have a head count at this point of how many people, but the event is aimed at the bikers. It's not aimed at the general community. It's for the bikers to come in and find out, for those that don't know, about Eatonville during Black History Month, and to find out what Eatonville is doing. I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, well, you did, but I just want to know, since we already have bikers, even though the bikers here didn't present anything for Black Heritage Month, but your group did, coming to Eatonville to learn more about Eatonville. I just want to know whether or not there was any discussion about collaborating with a group that we already have here to make it one big, like a big partnership event.
Absolutely.
Since you're coming to our town.
Yes, the Universal Kings, they're part of that network of bikers, and they are aware that there's this rally going on. The information has been distributed to all the bike clubs in the area, the motorcycle club, the social club, the riding clubs, and all the support clubs.
Okay, well then my issue, I think Councilman Daniels is a part of a bike group.
Yes, ma'am. Part of Universal Kings secretary. The only issue I would have was what I would have liked, or we would have liked to have been at the inception of talking about it. Because if you notice, I didn't know anything about it until the night that I saw my brother. I had no clue.
But at that point, in the last meeting, as we were still seeking approval for it. So to go out and tell everybody, this is what we're gonna do, without approval would be inappropriate.
My standpoint as far as being secretary, I'd be at the exception, to be at the table to say, hey, we would like to do this in the town. of Eatonville have a bike rally. With us being the only ones here, to be at the table in a sense, Mr. Carter.
And I understand where you're coming from, Councilman. The way the thing is structured, I'm not planning on having a lot in vendors, food vendors, craft vendors, any of that stuff. It's just an informational awareness campaign. The bikers, we rally in Sanford, we ride to Eatonville, to the Denton Johnson Center. The mayor and council members are invited to be acknowledged and speak if you like. We have a couple of speakers lined up that talk to the bikers, and that's the program. All the bike clubs are invited. All the bike clubs have been, the information been put out. I'm not, the only people that I went to is the dominant club. Do you understand what I'm talking about? And they distribute the information from there. I personally don't have the resource, the time to go to every club and to promote. So I'm starting at the top and let them promote. Now, if the information is not reaching you, then that's something that we can look at as far as the biker network and the biker interaction. When I went to the bike events and there were lots of different clubs there, I distributed more flyers. I did not see anyone from University of Kings at the event. So I'm doing all that I can to make sure that the information is getting out in the most efficient way that I can as a single individual doing this.
I'll go after.
Councilman,
So I guess if I'm gonna sum this up, this is what I heard, so you can correct me. What I'm hearing is it's a private event and it's really not for citizens. That's what I heard. So if you can just clarify, then it's no more discussion for me because your words were, it's for the biker community, not for the community.
It's a motorcycle
No, I get that.
event.
I get that. Just like a
We're not gonna turn anyone away, if that's what you're saying. When you say private, we're not gonna have a gate and say, well, no, you can't come in. But it is aimed at the bike.
So knowledge is key. Knowledge is power, right? Most people that's in bike, I'm not a motorcycle rider, but most of those people, which I've done events with them, I actually did a large event that I can show you the video with probably over 1,000 riders for George Floyd and all them. But I know during that time, we brought other community people because bikers are very knowledgeable and they do have an influence in the community. So I would think that you would want to influence the people to come out as well to show unity. That's just my thought.
But what you just said, the bikers have influence and no people. So again, my focus is on the bikers.
Okay.
So not turning anyone away. If the bikers tell people, invite other people, that's fine. My scope was limited to the bikers because I don't have the time and resource as one person to go to everybody in the world and say, hey, come to this event.
So I'll sum it up in basically understanding that the event is open to the public. That's why we sent it out through the water bills. I think but the target audience were the bikers. And of course it was to use Eatonville's rich historic history to have them come over and whoever else decided to come. So of course that's the target audience, but it's open to the community. That's why we sent it out to the water bills. If we had a event coordinator or public affairs person that would help streamline these items before they get to this point to make sure we have what we need.
And my last comment, if we went to Sanford, what bike group would we go see over there? Or if we wanted to have anything over there or partner with them? Bokeh Ride, let me just help you. Bokeh Ride Slick. That's, you see what I'm saying? So coming here.
No, I don't, because there's another club in Sanford, and actually the person that's giving the welcome address at this event, Mr. John L. Scott, he is the grandfather of bikers. He's been riding since the 60s, and he's the president of the Southern Riders Motorcycle Club. Now, for many years, the Southern Riders would have the event on the lakefront in Sanford, and we'd have 700, and I'm a member of the Southern Riders. We'd have 700, 1,000 motorcycles not to mention people. We have 700,000 motorcycles at our annual event. And back in 2006, I was part of the Florida Roundup Committee.
So we're gonna wrap
We
it up in
brought-
1 minute.
Yes, and we brought the National Bikers Roundup to Florida for the first and only time it's been here. And we had attendance in excess of 35,000 people at the St. Lucie County Fairgrounds in Fort Pierce.
All right. Thank you, Mr. McGee. All right, so it's been moved in second. All in favor of the Eatonville Black History Month motorcycle event, show by sign of aye. Aye. All
Aye.
opposed?
Aye.
She's saying aye.
Yes,
No, I say aye.
Yes.
I heard you. I mean, the idea is that,
No, they didn't say, they didn't say no.
We didn't say, when she say nay, if no one says nay, then everyone is good.
Thank you for that clarification.
Yes, ma'am.
So for the record, it has passed.
Right.
Yes.
I will also say that, this actually probably shouldn't have went out through the mail. I would say that. Because if we talk about inclusive and all that kind of stuff, that means we're welcoming everybody. We're not signifying saying just this body. So, and then it's kind of hard for us to vote on something after you done send out through the water bill and then ask us to vote no on it when y'all done put it out. So that's kind of productive.
Noted.
the next item on the agenda is resolution 2024-3, standing in solidarity and allyship in its desire to house the state of Florida's first African-American History Museum. This item was brought, you want to introduce it? All right, so this item was brought before you for consideration in regards to the first state African-American museum and hoping that the location chosen would be Eatonville, Florida. By completing at least this resolution and presenting it to the task force, then it shows a sincere desire by the council to have the museum come here if you so desire.
And I'll add to that, to a report that you all have received regarding the recovery and resiliency information from the community of things that they would like to see in the community, and that was a heritage museum. Actually, it was at the top of that list from the stakeholders and shreds we've had with the community, from just residents and so forth. We have had letters of support from the county that they will put dollars towards supporting it, or a capital portion of that, along with the school board has given us a letter of support. Of course, I'll let Mr. Cliff talk in his report as to where we're headed with that land. And also we've had support from several outside representatives that are supported. So this is just stating that the council is in agreement with moving forward with being considered for this from the task force as this a location to put a museum here.
Right, yes.
Yeah, I think it's a very great idea. I wish I would have known that the town, which I represent, was doing a presentation. So no one sent out any correspondences or notices to the town council about this is being done. I heard about it afterwards it was done. So I would appreciate if we're going to put the town out there for promotion for something such as large of a scale as this, as Florida State Museum, that is in all proper respect.
Absolutely.
The respect to notify the council members.
I'm sure in the last meeting prior to that happening, back in December, we spoke of it. At that time, we did not have for sure information. And we did not have a meeting the 1st of January to bring it up again. However, there was an email sitting out that it was coming, but we didn't get information until like the week of. And so that's where we were on that. But I do understand, I do hear what you're saying.
But the week of is when you could have sent it to. So you can't just say we just got it the week of.
Okay.
Even if it was 1 or 2 days notice, we still should have been notified.
Noted.
And that's one problem that we need to clarify here, is we want to work together in solidarity. in order to make this happen, then we need to be treated in solidarity.
No.
Thank you.
And Mayor, before we vote, I can read the preamble when you're
Thank
ready.
you. I'm ready.
Resolution 2024-3, a resolution of the Town Council of the Historic Town of Eatonville, Florida, to stand in solidarity and allyship in its desire to house the state of Florida's first African-American History Museum, providing for conflict severability and an effective date.
You have heard the preamble. Is there a motion to approve resolution 2024-3?
So move.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved in second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed. Next item, thank you. Next item is the approval of resolution 2023-26, appointing chair to the Town of Eatonville Community Redevelopment Agency.
Ready?
Do
Can
you
you read the preamble? Resolution 2023-26, resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Eatonville, Florida, designating a chairman of the Town of Eatonville Community Redevelopment Agency, TOCA, providing for conflict, severability, and an effective date.
You have read the preamble. Is there a motion to approve resolution 2023-26?
Second discussion.
Were you gonna say something?
We needed to make a appointment, so.
That's what I was gonna ask, do we put a name out there?
Oh,
Yes.
I'm sorry, so let me rescind my motion.
No,
Names
just
are
the name, you need to appoint.
So,
Yeah, you could, since it's open, since you haven't done the vote.
all right, so just to keep it all official and consistent. So I will always, I think that, just in being consistent with what has started since March 15th, 2022, and how it has been stated that one of the ideologies of the vice mayor has been that the mayor is also the chair of the CRA board, then I will nominate Angie Gardner as the chair of the CRA board to continue that. Is there a motion? For a second.
Move.
It's been moved. Is there a second? I will second it. It's been moved in second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Nay.
No.
Nay will work. Anyone else?
Is there another nominee?
I'd like to nominate Councilman Marlon Daniels as chairman of the CRA board.
It's been, is there a motion to have Councilman Marlon Daniels be chair of the CRA board?
So move.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
I do have a question. I want to state this for the record, as I will always. Not too long ago, a couple of times, when we've tried to put people on the planning and zoning board, it was stated by these same council people that those persons should be certified. It was almost to the point they needed to go to classes, and they need to do all of that. Then for code enforcement, the code enforcement employee, almost, I can't tell you how many meetings we've had, and is he certified? Is he certified? He went to classes, wasn't enough. Is he certified? Is he certified? He had to get certified. The CRA also has a certification process. Prior to even being on council, I started that process, and I am certified to be CRA. And when I came on board March 15, 2022, and you fired everyone, I still did it. So now when things are off the ground, oh, and by the way, the county still had the money, the CRA funds. And I'm saying this for the record so that you're clear on what was happening. The county still had the money for the CRA. Even when I tried to take care of the items to clear that money, you voted no as in the CRA board. To clear those items would have meant that the county would return the money. However, I had already told them, because I knew it was gonna be a no. I'd already told them, hey, even if it did not pass, it will still be a part of what we did. That was as a CRA chair. Now that we have all these things in place, I have a concern. As I said, March 15, 2022, being CRA chair is not a personal issue, except for the fact that I am concerned. I am concerned because I do believe that a bigger thing is happening. And I want to make certain that the citizens are aware and that this is not used as an election ploy. Because those things that are on the books right now with the CRA, some of them had to happen regardless of even having the staff. So when we say transparency, I think it would be great to be transparent now, knowing that an election is in 1 month. What could possibly be the reason for it to be a rush now? And the fact we just had a vote in December 2023. I'm gonna say it all because it's on the record. Since we just had a vote 2023 by bylaws, we did fulfill the obligations to have a vote. And it was 2-2. I don't know if the bylaw says it has to be 3-2, but we did have the vote. It was in December. And to me, the issue is done. But because it wasn't a certain way, then we just redo it. So with that being said, all in favor, say aye. All opposed, nay. Next item on the agenda, appointment of the vice chair for the town of Eatonville. Before I put that motion on the floor, please provide the name that you'd like.
I would like to nominate Councilwoman Randolph as the CRA co-chair.
Okay, would you read the resolution, Ms. King?
Yes, resolution 2023-27. A resolution of the town council of the town of Eatonville, Florida, designating a vice chairman of the town of Eatonville Community Redevelopment Agency, the TOCRA, providing for conflict, severability, and an effective date.
Is there a motion for resolution 2023-27, naming Councilwoman Wanda Randolph as the vice chair of the town of Eatonville Community Redevelopment Agency?
Second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Next item, approval of resolution 2024-2, approving the 10-year water supply facilities work plan. You need to read that resolution as well.
Yes, resolution 2024-2, a resolution of the town council of the town of Eatonville, Florida, to approve the 10-year water supply facilities work plan, providing for conflict, severability, and an effective date.
Is there a motion to approve resolution 2024-2?
So moved.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved in second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? And that completes our agenda. Mr. Press.
Yes, briefly, two things, as it's been brought up in the comments from the open comments, solid waste. So we have started the process of discussing with Waste Connections. For the community's knowledge, this contract is up in October of this year. So we will be going out to bid, and so we're currently putting the proposals together. But of course, there were some changes within that company that we currently have, and they are now enforcing or going strictly by the contract when it comes to the amount of trash that's being picked up. And so we are scheduled for a meeting within the next week to discuss. Apparently, just for clarity, the previous operations person that was here would just pick up everything and take it away. It wasn't following the actual 2x2 cube yard that's supposed to be picked up. That's per our contract, which means whatever's in the one toter, the 96-gallon toter, is what's normally allowed to be picked up. Anything outside of that is considered additional waste, which needs to either be scheduled or so forth. In the past, unfortunately, there was no communication on this, and it was just picked up. And then now with the new personnel, they're actually going by what the contract states, and that's what it states. So what I have asked is for a meeting and also education piece to kind of talk about how do we proceed forward. It's not at the expense or the fault of the community that this was taking place. There was no process, there was no red tag, and no one knew what this just happened. And so Valerie, our Public Works Director, Ms. Monday, has been working with them, and we're trying to schedule a meeting to discuss that. At this point, you should still be picked up. If you are not being picked up, you need to call that number that's associated with it, and it can be dealt with from that until we figure out how we proceed forward on making sure the community understands what should be counted in our pickup and what's additional. Whether that means you need an additional container or whether that means you need to rethink waste. So it just depends on what you're putting out there. Now, I do believe our contract allows for a bulk pickup once a week. And so I'm trying to define all those details. So if you have something outside of your normal waste that you're putting out with your recycle, your yard waste and the bulk pickup is once a week for that. So we're working with them to figure out the details of it. So I just want to bring that to the community's attention. I have received a few calls. I know Ms. Monday had received quite a few calls regarding it. And so we are aware of it, and we are trying to figure out how do we maintain that and where we go from here. But that was something that was just brought up through the changing of staffing for that particular company.
So they're gonna pick up trash. Okay.
If your trash was not picked up today, if it's been notified, it should be picked up, but we are working with them now to make sure it should be picked up on its normal day.
It's not.
Yeah, and I know that's what we're meeting to discuss.
Well, wait.
I understand
Go
that.
ahead,
and-
finish your report,
Yeah,
Mr.
no, I understand this is a hot topic, so please feel free to reach out to our office if we can talk more in detail. No, you're fine. I know it's a hot topic. Nobody want to leave trash out there, and we don't want that look for our community. But we will work on that and figure out how do we mitigate this issue. It is something that just been brought to our attention. As you heard from Valerie, our DEP consent order is just about done, so hopefully we get the words on that. Met with the library's director, Ms. Sarah Brown, and just for the council knowledge, the library agreement that we have of that property is up in June. And so I'll start the negotiation process with them to discuss how do we proceed forward with that. We have a very nice library, and you should have received the packet from some of the things that they're doing. And we're going to work to make sure we collaborate more to make sure we're getting full use and access to that library. The Metro plan, we talked about that. We have a meeting this week, and we'll continue to talk about some of the safety issues and traffic concerns that we have from that end. The community pool is moving along really well. Our recreation department, along with our contractor, is keeping us up to date on that. We are still on course to do a grand opening this Memorial Day, but we also may have a soft opening, so we'll keep you updated as the work is being done on that. The fire services, we are getting monthly reports now. I'm glad to add that, and we are in communication on community programs with the fire station. The Francis Jerry Park has been under construction for a couple of days now, or a couple of weeks now. The docks was where it started where we started addressing that. But while there, we found out that quite a few of the sidewalks in there were out of compliance. We're not in ADA compliance. And so those sidewalks have been pulled up. The contractor is working on that. I don't know if he's giving you an update on the date, but within the week or so, we should see them pouring concrete on that. We did have someone doing some type of extra driving in that area recently and hit one of the poles and knocked one of our lighting system down for our basketball court. So we have noted that, and we are working at that. But we are paying attention to that park, and we are trying to improve it. And I know, as you've heard, there has been some additional fishing opportunities that are being created there. Spoke on the homeless ordinance. The last thing is I'll just update on impact fees. Each one of our departments is now working to finalize the details of presenting those numbers. You've heard from Chief, of course, where it impacts that. We also have our planning department that's looking at our permitting and finalizing those numbers. Also, we are working with our utility and finance department. There's two sides to that. You have the impact service rate for our water and sewer, and then you have the portion that's for the general government and general services, which include planning, policing, as well as recreational and transportation. So those are being finalized in those numbers. I do suspect that late April, we should have the majority of that information back for council to look at. That does create some issues with the moratorium as far as the moratorium, which is up in May. And I asked that we probably do a workshop and kind of timeline that out. I should have all that information to the vendor that's doing the impact fee study to give a better timeline, finish that out, and then the council can make a decision on the extension of the moratorium or how do we proceed with that. I will state that it's in best interest that we follow this process through. While it has been extended, we do need to follow that process through for the sake of that. And understanding for the community at large, impact fees do not impact residents that are already established. This is for any new development. So any changes that come with this will not impact those that are residents that are just living here, but it does impact build new structures, new buildings and so forth from that. And so it's very important that we start to maximize from the town's portion to receive the proper fees to associate with any new growth in our town. So I'll make sure that's on either the February second meeting or the first meeting in March of the timeline. Once I've received all the information from the different departments, we'll finalize that for the impact fees. I believe that's all the items I have for my report tonight. Happy Black History Month. Hope everybody have a great Love Day, and I believe that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you. Attorney.
All right, Mayor, I want to pick up on the moratorium just to give an additional preview of the timeline. So from the moment you get the study for the various areas which they say we can appropriately adopt an impact fee, and I don't know what that'll be, but examples would be transportation, parks and recreation, could be wastewater, water. I don't know what they'll cover, but basically it'll tell you, these are the things we think that you can justify a fee for. If you then accept their studies and say, yeah, those rates look good to us, which hopefully is the reason you have a study, you would trust them to do it, get it right, because it's defensible. That's the whole goal.
Right.
You would adopt or have me prepare an impact fee ordinance, adopting the various fees for the various areas where they say it's appropriate. It takes 2 readings. This is the critical thing to remember. 90 days before the ordinance can go into effect from when it's adopted, meaning the second reading. So for example, if for some reason we were able to get this done where we had an ordinance in June, you'd have to get the second meeting at the end of June and have to wait 90 days before, if you lifted the moratorium, impact fees would immediately start to apply. So it's critical that we move this thing as fast as possible, because already past a year, you're getting to some seriously concerning territory, not regarding whether I can defend any lawsuits that come, but whether you're going to invite a lawsuit. That's what we want to avoid. So we need to show that we're making progress and we've got an end date in sight. Secondarily, tomorrow, I think it's at 6:30, we're going to do the code training.
Yes.
Okay. And if you're not familiar, what we said when I met with your code board is that I would send them, and I did, to Mr. Baruti of Adala, Nokashir. I think it's Adala Nokashir. Did I get that right? Close.
We call him Baruti.
Okay, well, I'm trying to be polite, but I certainly don't want to pass a spelling test on this. At any rate, long story short, I gave him a sample case from a place where I sit as a magistrate, which is Kissimmee. Gave him actually 3. He picked one. So tomorrow night, we will go through it first from his perspective, what he needs to present using these screens in what will be a PowerPoint-like presentation. So if he doesn't know that, you need to let him know. It's got to show up on the screens because that's how it's going to be presented. We'll go through each of the slides and why they're in there, what they're supposed to be, what he's supposed to be showing as the officer, and what the board is supposed to be hearing, and what they're getting at, what they should be looking for. And we're going to basically role play so they understand. If it's done correctly, even with opposition, these cases take no more than 15 to 20 minutes. But if a lawyer shows up, all bets are off. You never know. So that will be part of the training tomorrow. And last but not least, and perhaps the best news, assuming it holds, and I'm a Captain Doom and Gloom sometimes, but this is optimistic. Optimistic me found out today that the last word from Dr. Castor Dentel was that they are willing to deed us the property, the Hungerford property, if we can get the lawsuit dismissed. So no pressure, but I got to get that lawsuit dismissed. So on Friday in that endeavor, 3:30, we will be meeting with PEC because they hold the keys to the kingdom when it comes to that. And I've talked to the lawyer from Southern Poverty Law Center numerous times. She's real smart, real easy to deal with. And I think their requests, don't want to step out over my skis here, will be reasonable. What they're looking for primarily is protection of the property so that it can't ever be put in jeopardy again. What that may mean, I don't know. We've talked about land trusts. I don't know exactly what it's going to be, but the goal on Friday's meeting with the mayor, with Mr. Presley, with myself, with the lawyer from SPLC, and I guess Ms. Nathiri, but I don't know who else might be coming. Oh, wait a minute. What's the fellow's name?
His name
Cody
is-
something.
It'll come to me in a second, but his name is Cody,
Yeah,
Attorney Cody.
there's another guy who's coming who is in historic preservation big time. And what I understand is
Chris Cody.
God, I did not want to screw this up, but I think he wants to give us $200,000.
Yes.
And so that's always good. I like money. And so it should be a very positive meeting. And if it settles the issue to their satisfaction of how we can take title to the property, if it's given back to us by the school board, then we should have some good things coming soon. That's my hope.
Mayor, I have one additional, I meant to mention, we do have a new owner at the 427 East Kennedy property. I and planning are meeting with the new property owner on tomorrow. Just want to make sure that was updated.
All right, before I,
It's known as the motel.
And is it okay for me to give a quick report?
yes, go ahead.
Quick report out. Just an update on File Bank, moving right along, we're getting ready to, launch public access, which is a feature in File Bank, which will allow me to, post records on the website, which you can, research records right at your fingertips without asking for a public record request. So that is a feature that, we have, paid for, and hopefully we can get that implemented within the next 2 weeks. But I'll keep you updated on that. I wanted to give you an update on the code enforcement meeting. Unfortunately, Baruti won't be present. Want to send prayers and condolences to his family for the former councilwoman, Marilyn Scanius, who passed away this past week. He's with the family, taking care of some details surrounding her passing. So in his absence, Mr. Cobbin will.
He's gonna be the presenter.
He's
Okay.
gonna be the presenter in Baruti's absence. And I also would like to say, I'm surprised Mr. Presley didn't mention this. We had a staff training. It was a very, very good training. It was on Friday and Saturday. Some healthy, interactive conversation. And I think it's important for you all to know that the staff is really trying to build a camaraderie among us. It's important that when we're strong and we're working together, it can help with the culture of the administration. So I just kind of wanted to say I had a great time and wanted to let you know that we look forward to some great things in the future with our staff. Being a part of the staff, it ain't my staff, but I'm part of the staff.
And just being, you said the first one, I meant before the invocation to remember the Marilyn Scanian Davis and also the Jenkins family, and if there are any other bereaved. With that being said, Councilman Daniels.
Good evening, everybody. I've been sitting here pondering, and I have to go back to my roots of my grandma. She used to always say, really, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all, but be wise with it. A certain young lady, I will name nameless at this time, she brought a very good point to me about 6 months ago, and she told me about being a curator. Anybody know about a curator? A curator is someone who goes through and tells a story at a museum or whatever, but it needs to be factual. That means you need to be transparent. That means you need to tell the whole truth and don't throw jabs. I would say, and I'm gonna start off by saying this way, it's people over politics. If people don't understand what's going on in this community right now and in this world, it's people over politics. The attacks that come against me, I welcome them. Cause every time you attack me, God shows up. He shows up every time. So keep the attacks coming. I'm gonna continue to I'm gonna continue to stay in no business. I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna reap what you sow. You will reap what you sow. I believe God. I trust God. So keep the attacks coming. And I thank God for it. I want to give condolences to the Jenkins and the Davis family. It was good having a conversation with Miss Marilyn last week. It brought healing. And if you don't realize what's going on, there's a lot of healing going on. So when you try to go against the will, it'll bring it back into full perspective. I know Mr. Novak and Mr. Presley stood up and talked about the trash. That was on my list. The trash issue is a major issue that I would like to see corrected, along with recycling, the roll-off containers. And I do hear you. We got to sweep around our own door first before we go to try to make somebody else enforce. So yeah, our dumpsters need to be corrected as well. So that issue need to be taking place. Also, I had a couple phone calls from Mr. Dix and other people. Mr. Dix don't mind me calling his name. We need to get something out to residents to know who to contact in case of emergencies on different things. If there's a water break, if there's a trash issue, whatever, I think we need to create a magnet or something like that to go out so residents can know. I would like to know an update on the electronic for documentation, signing of checks electronic and electronic debit transactions. Ms. Gibson, you know, we're talking about getting it all in one thing. Mr. Preston made a joke earlier and I told him I would talk about it. I would like for us to see about purchasing like surfaces, tablets, and get council trained on it. I think we waste a lot of paper when we can put notes and all that stuff there, and we can have presentations, all that in front of us. I would just like to see that. Mr. Preston, I would like to request all employees' hire date and termination date, just say in the last 2 or 3 years. And then what's the status of the salary analysis? I know we got a lot going on. I talked to one resident about the login. I want to know, Ms. Gibson, is there a way that people can, like anything else, go through and set up their own login so they don't have to worry about those numbers and passwords that we generated for them, if they can do it for themselves? Also, a suggestion of putting a kiosk into the lobby that people can come in, they can make their own transaction by credit card or whatever. Mr. Preston, I would like to have a copy of all insurance policies for all of vehicles and property, just with the declaration page. You already covered the impact fees and the moratorium. And my last thing is there an ordinance or anything in place when people get evicted and the houses are emptied out on the street? Is there a certain day of the week? Are there protocols in place? Because I came by a street the other day and I mean, it was just piles and piles and piles of trash that, and it wasn't on the trash day. I would say again, I love everybody. And remember, there's people over politics. Thank you.
Councilwoman.
If I might, Council, what I will do, I will reach out to the sheriff's office who usually fulfills the eviction processes and see if they can just hit my office first before the day they bring it in.
I appreciate that, Chief, because I think we need to let the property owners know, you know, so some kind of communication, because I mean, it was trash and underwear, trash all over the street, mattress and all that. If it's just some kind of way that we can keep our community clean.
Yes, sir. I can take care of that.
I appreciate it.
Councilwoman.
Okay, thank you. Good evening to everyone. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge my sympathy to those bereaved families. Mrs. Marilyn Scanius, her family, and Mr. Jenkins. I would say Mr. Presley and Attorney Shepherd basically have done my report. All those items that you all mentioned, I just have them right here. But I just want to thank you all very much. And you know, the homeless situation has been one of the top in my list. I want to thank you all for what you've done. But also I want to mention, in addition to that, there is a House bill. It's 1530. If you would like to research it, that now this is being discussed and action being taken upon public sleeping in our communities and also in government facilities or properties. So that doesn't mean that we cannot, that doesn't take away from us doing our ordinance because we are home ruled. So whatever they come out with, they were discussing, it's a very interesting ordinance, if you all can read it. So they're still working on that. So thanks for that. But I want to, we talked about Black History, but one of the things I want you all to be aware of, Friday morning, I was on my phone early in the morning, about 4 o'clock. And I just happened to put my husband, the late James Randolph name in my search. And what popped up was something that I had not seen before. He had an interview back in the 70s. That's 50 years ago. And to me, it's historic to me because I am on council and he was on council several times. I did not know that he actually ran for that position 3 times. And then the other time was back in the 2000s. But what struck my attention, the things that he addressed back then are the same issues, the same exact issues 50 years later, we're still dealing with. And that's the water. He talked about the water. He talked about the roads. He talked about the government. And also it goes back to what Councilman Marlin just mentioned about putting people over politics. He talked about that. He talked about the leaders in the government in Eatonville. This was pertaining to Eatonville now, not to the world, to Eatonville. He talked about the interests of the community not being involved in the local government as to what we're doing. And I want to appreciate all of you all for being here because you are involved. But then what about the others that are not involved? And they don't know. Only thing they see is what's on the surface. They don't know what goes on in here. So what he was saying that we have to get better. And I challenge everyone to go on the website. It's by the University of Florida and read that. It's a 25-page document. So it's a really nice to see the questions they ask about the votes in here, how the people here, their lifestyle and those kinds of things. But I just wanted to share that with you. Okay, some of the other things that, thank you for listening to that. Some of the things here I want to make mention. We have been spending a lot of funds on all different kinds of things. We got all of these projects going on. We had the roof going on. We have this going on, that going on. What we need, Mr. Presley, is that we just need to have a special meeting, not in a council setting, of the budget. Because we're not getting our budget reports as council members. We've talked about this many times. I need to know where we are, where we're going, where we're headed, and what is it we need to do. And the only way that we can do that successfully, we must have our budget reports as council. Every month, we should be sitting here with a book, just like Mrs. King prepared our books for us, for the council. We should be privileged to the same thing when we're sitting up here. Not a quarterly report, but the quarterly report doesn't tell me anything because you're already 3 months behind. So I like to have that done as soon as possible, that we need to have just a meeting talking about budgets, all of these things, and we're spending money. I need to know where we are. I think Miss Rachel had sent something out when Mrs. Katrina was not here, and I want to thank you all for doing that. But I think we just need to just be right on where we need to be.
Is this budget meeting for the current budget or for?
Well, it's, all the income and revenues that we have taken in and we're spending. We need to have with the columns that shows us plus and minuses. The report that she sent out was a really good report. but we just need to have, every once in a while, we need to come together once a quarter with our budgets. Now, every month, we need to have a report. Every month, we need to have a monthly report to council. I've asked for this many times, and it still is not, for some reason, it's not done. I don't know why. Okay. Also, I want to say, that the trash that you mentioned, I'm glad you brought that up. We're still waiting on recyclable blue bins on Bethune Drive for over 6 months. We still don't have those yet. Okay, other than that, I don't have anything else that I need to, because you all said it all. And I just want to thank you all very much. Are we still working on the recognition for women?
Yes,
Okay,
we were trying to figure out the
the
exact date.
elected women. Okay. All right, thank you all very much. You have a wonderful, blessed day.
Vice Chair.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Welcome. My condolences go out to the Davis family. It's Marilyn Davis Gunyans. We ran on the same ticket one time, knocking on doors, and then we were on the opposite ticket the other time. So my heart goes out to Mr. Baruti and Tammy, my classmate. Also the Jenkins family, Mr. Isaac Jenkins. 3 things that he always wanted: that the trash cans, he talked about that right there by the daycare. He talked about the code enforcement to address the issues of apartments, the mold and stuff. He felt like his granddaughter deserved better, and with the apartment situation, he just wanted the town to do more in helping people to have a decent place to live. And his granddaughter lived in those apartments, so that's why he was so adamant about it. And if we ever should get a controller, like a tractor that has that arm, he always talked about hurricanes, like the trees that are in the road. He said we as a town, we needed that. And anyone that knows Mr. Jenkins, you know, he's a stickler on the trash and the contracts that we have. And he was just adamant because he worked in that field, and he just thought that we as a town deserve better. So, and to honor him, let's just make sure we do our due diligence on that contract. I also receive emails from citizens about the trash. And the number one thing was, I don't think they were mad about not getting picked up, but just heads up. Like, give us heads up that they're not going to do it, then we won't put out the 2 receptacles. We just will put out what we can until they can do what they do. Also, our trash didn't get picked up today. So I know you guys are working on it. I'm not going to beat a dead horse. I know you got that speed bumps. Dina, what road does my live on?
That's Bear
Bear Lair, yeah. Right, Mr. Novak, I mean, with thanks to Zora, you know, with the detours, and I got good shots, but that's ridiculous. And I know Mr. Novak has been asking for months that we can do something, because that's terrible. I don't know why they do that, why they go up so high or whatever, but if we can, you know, maybe address that issue. We sit up and we try to adhere to, you know, showing the face that we get along, and that, you know, we're all about the progression of evil. That old motto of progression or progress through understanding is one thing that stands out to me. And to be, I can't. Folks, just thank you so much for coming out, getting involved in these politics, and just continue to pray for the town of Beaver. Have a good night.
May I make a comment, please? Just one more thing. Mr. Presley, this meeting on Friday, is this a closed meeting with PEC and the officials?
It is.
So the council, we're not invited?
Well,
is
we would
it-
have
is
to
it
do,
not for us
it would
to
have to be a,
Council meeting without having a.
you have to have a public
Okay,
notice.
okay,
So I
okay.
couldn't really invite
It's been
everybody.
a sunshine issue.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Thank you for reminding me of that. Okay, one more thing here. On the solid waste containers, some of the owners, their due date to have this done is this month. So are we gonna extend that?
Yes,
Are you gonna send out a letter?
what we decided to do is allow them to go through the process, but it will be extended at the meeting, because we're trying to get the code enforcement aware of how to operate in the code enforcement here in the type process. So we are aware that some of those dates are coming up, but they will be extended at that code enforcement meeting.
And that's tomorrow.
I don't think that's the code enforcement meeting for those
No,
deadlines.
tomorrow is the actual board.
It's the board meeting.
Okay, Okay.
So depending on where their due date is, there will be another letter sent out stating, hey, they're to report to this next meeting to discuss it, and that meeting will extend it based off the preliminary information we've already discussed with the ordinance adjustment.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Mundy, for your diligence with those grants. I mean, you know, I said it before when I wanted the grants team, those numbers are the numbers I was talking about. Not 50,000 or 100, but we need millions to catch us up from decades of decline. So hopefully, all of that goes through. Thank you, and getting on that priority list is essential. All seasons pools, I'm gonna say thank you out there, all seasons pools. I'm very excited, the progress that is being done with that community pool. That community policing grant for Catalina, for Francis Jerry Park. Can't wait to see those upgrades way past due. CRA program, I thought, it was mentioned in a meeting to maybe use the CRA program to address the issue with those bins. I
Yes.
think we discussed it.
Yeah.
Maybe having a program, so that kind of falls in line. In regards to the town having a waste, did we not talk about that on the outside of the door one day? I definitely think that's doable, and I already had that conversation. And on days they're not picking up trash, they can help with other things that are needed in the town. If anyone knows of any more, an additional way that we can communicate, because I truly believe that when we have to communicate with the community, once you hit it in water bill, put it on the website, put it on Facebook, because a lot of people are on Facebook, even hit Instagram, I think you've covered 1.5 square miles. And for those people that still don't know, somebody tell somebody. Because chances are the people that don't know today didn't know yesterday, and they told you and complained about it. So the next time you hear about something, tell them. Tell them. And that would be the other piece of communication that I do ask citizens to help one another stay in tune to what's going on. My gratitude to Chief, Mr. Presley, the staff, professional training. Maybe I should have just stayed a little longer. Have that professional training is important, not just to service citizens on the outside, but to service each other on the inside. With that being said, everyone, please have a safe travel home. And unless there's something else, I move for adjournment.
So move.
It's been moved in second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? It's 9:11. We're adjourned.
This is Keith.
Yeah.
Okay. That's actually. Lawsuit.